Yo, what's up? It's Tommy, boys. This is Tooch Talk, and I'm the host, and we got my crew here,
What up, guys?
Yo, what's up?
and we're gonna bring to you a new fantasy sports channel to YouTube, and we're all pretty smart with it, and we're here to help you guys win your leagues. So let's hop right into it with who we are. I'm Tommy. I'm 17 years old, straight out of Cali. I'm a four-time fantasy champ. I've won two baseball, two football. Currently winning my fantasy baseball matchups for the playoffs right now. I've won two back-to-back fantasy football leagues so far. So I mean, you could say I'm doing pretty good in past years. I started fantasy sports. Started with baseball in fifth grade. I got talked into starting fantasy football in seventh grade. Ever since then, I've loved it, and it's basically been my life. And I don't take it lightly when I lose. I haven't missed the playoffs yet. I put a lot of time into it, and I truly care about fantasy. So if you guys definitely need help, and yeah, we're here to help. Tell you guys a little bit about
Yo,
himself.
yo, what's up, guys? I'm Jackson. I'm 14. I'm a defending fantasy football champ. I had 12 wins, no losses, and a tie. Currently in fantasy baseball, I'm right in the middle of the pack, so I'm trying to make a move towards the end of the season. But I've been playing fantasy baseball, football, and basketball for 5 years now. And my favorite college team is Auburn, and then my pro teams are the LA teams. And I'm just working on becoming a fantasy expert and learning as much as I can and winning as much as I. Yeah.
All right, yo, I'm Reed. I'm 16. I'm a defending fantasy football and baseball champ, and I played fantasy for around like 7 or 8 years. I haven't missed the playoffs yet. I've won football 3 times and baseball 4 times. And if Cal ever tells you anything, don't listen to him because he doesn't know what he's saying.
Well, that gets to your last but wisest and best member of this YouTube channel. That's me, guys. What's up? I'm Cal, 24, current Cool Ranch fantasy football champion, and I've been playing fantasy sports since I was 10 years old, 2001. I love head-to-head format and half PPR. My favorite thing to do is to draft people that are under everybody else's radar towards middle, late end of the draft, and then using them to be a beast for my whole squad. If you want those picks, talk to me. I will give them to you absolutely free. And don't let anybody fool you. I am the greatest person on this channel. But anyways, enough about us. What you're going to see on this channel, what you're going to see from Tooge Talk every single week. First, we got the rankings. So we're going to do a bunch of different rankings of our different favorite players in terms of quarterback, running back, etc., and how we view they will actually be this current season and the coming seasons.
And then we're gonna see some sleepers and busts, some sleepers at the beginning of the year, and some people who are picking it up, who people still don't realize, and some busts, some big names who are gonna have bad seasons, maybe because of injuries or just not good enough.
And to pick it up from there, we're going to give you guys waiver wire pickups week in and week out. Maybe you got that bye week coming up and you don't know who to fill in to plug in your lineup. You don't have enough guys playing that week. You got to pick someone up, fill it in. Maybe you guys lost a guy like Jamal Charles last year, Le'Veon Bell due to a huge injury, nice season-ending injury. Those are always fun. But we're here to help. We're going to give you our top 10 waiver wire pickups each week. That's something like that. And yeah, try to help you guys out.
And then we're also going to have some love hate every week. So maybe some lower name guys that you might not know that they're going to have a good week and we think they might have a great matchup and could have a big time week. Or maybe it's a guy that we really don't like the matchup or just they haven't been performing well. So we might hate them for that week and might not think they'll perform.
Yeah, we've also created a Twitter page for you guys. If you guys want to follow us there at Tooge Talk, Tuj, capital Talk. Follow us there if you guys, we haven't put out a video yet for your question or anything like that, because in the future we're thinking about maybe getting your guys' Twitter responses and making a video about it. But if you need like that quick response, we're there to help. Just tweet us your question, whether it be trades, should I pick up this guy for this guy, who should I start this week, anything like that. Anything related to fantasy, we're here to help. We'll try to answer them as quick as possible. So we're going to get into the first recent news we've had. We're going to react to these franchise tag players. Some of these are the top 8. We got these notable players for the franchise tag. We had Muhammad Wilkerson for the New York Jets, defensive lineman there. The kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, Justin Tucker. Kirk Cousins of the Washington Redskins. Von Miller, Denver. Eric Berry, KC, Alshon Jeffrey. Chi-Town, and my boy Trumaine Johnson of the LA Rams. Go Rams. So let's hop right into it. My boy Cal's got Muhammad Wilkerson, the defensive lineman of the Jets.
Yeah, so you got Muhammad Wilkerson signing a new 5-year, $86 million deal. Now, last year he played every single game with 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 7 pass deflections. Big year for sure, contract year coming in last year. He knew he wanted to prove himself, but my biggest concern for the Jets is that 2013 to 2014 season when he went from 10.5 sacks in 2013 to 5.5 in 2014. Now, obviously, that 12 sack season was huge for him last year, but he needs to stay hungry in order for this team to be successful this year.
And also, this could possibly lead. This is on the other hand, but this could lead to maybe them signing Ryan Fitzpatrick because a guy like Brandon Marshall really wants him back. So maybe that since the Jets just re-signed Muhammad Wilkerson, maybe they'll get Ryan Fitzpatrick back.
Yeah, he's definitely a big name. Definitely helps them out defensively. They're always known for typically blitzing a lot, so they need that big pass rusher. And
And
Muhammad Wilkerson.
my biggest question is, can he lead the Jets to a playoff run? The Jets were very close to the playoffs last year, but maybe this could be, maybe if he has a breakout year, he could be the next step to them in going on to the playoffs if they re-sign Fitzpatrick.
Definitely going to need to show some consistency there. Sorry for that. But, yeah, well, hopefully he can. I mean, for those Jets fans, Jets, Jets. Or is it a bad signing? So let's go on to Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. Justin Tucker signed a 4-year, $16.8 million contract. He is a kicker. So, I mean, you're probably saying, like, that's a crazy amount of money. I mean, he wasn't some god at kicker, but he was 82%. He made a 52-yard. That was his season long. He wasn't very strong from 50 yards out, but what's your guys' take on this signing a kicker for this amount of money?
Well, for me, it's the biggest concern I have of Justin Tucker is his overall field goal percentage from 2013 to 2015, where he was almost 93% in 2013, and then it went down to 85.3% and 82.5%, as you just stated, Tommy, last year. Also, his 50-plus out has never been too great the past 2 seasons. So I'm a little concerned.
I mean, I think they did a good job with this because since 2012, he's been the second most accurate kicker behind only Dan Bailey. He's 7 for 7 in the playoffs. He's as clutch as it gets in the NFL right now. And, the teams that don't have kickers, we've seen them struggle, especially last year, especially when they moved the extra point back. So I think it's very important to have a good kicker. So I like this signing.
I feel like it's a good signing, but I feel like it is a lot of money for a kicker. They could have used that money to go somewhere else, maybe like a wide receiver or something. But, I mean, still an overall pretty good signing.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Jackson, about Blair Walsh. But sucks to be a Vikings fan there, but it is true. It's nice to have that clutch guy. But for a fantasy aspect, Tucker was he was a top 10 kicker. He was he scored 139 fantasy points according to ESPN. Definitely nice to have a good kicker. I mean, if you have a guy like Stefan Gostkowski who scores 168 points, that's sometimes better than some of those receivers out there. Like someone on this list we're going to talk about later. But I mean, having a top 10 kicker does kind of help in the long run. What's you guys' small take on a kicker in fantasy?
I mean, obviously it's very key to have a good kicker, but top 10 kicker to me is not the importance that's not a good thing to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obviously better than the bottom 20, but for me, you want a top 5 kicker. I just don't see a lot of value in drafting someone of Tucker's status. I would rather just get him off the waiver wire when my kicker has an off week, or a bye week rather, and do it that way.
Well, I mean, I don't usually need like a necessarily great kicker, but Tucker was very good in fantasy last year. I actually did try to get him, but he was taken really not early, but early for a kicker, in my opinion. So
Gostkowski had a huge week last season, so I know if you get a good kicker, it can really change your weekly matchup. So I think it can be a good thing to get a good kicker, but it's obviously not a huge deal. if you don't.
All right. He was tied 8th in points last year with 139 per ESPN. So the next guy on our list, we got Von Miller. Big name there in Denver. He signed a 6-year deal worth 144 million. His 2015 stats: in 16 games played, he had 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and 30 total tackles. Dude's just a beast on the field, as you saw. He put it to the test against Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. Rip Panther season. Yeah, Cam Newton showed to be one of the better quarterbacks this year, obviously, breaking out. But Von Miller just shut that down altogether. He's also the highest non-quarterback money guarantee in NFL history, so that says a lot about this guy. Definitely up and coming. Is he worth it? I think he is. I think he is. He's definitely put up big, maybe not big numbers yet. I see it to come, but he has stepped up. Um, Definitely playing next to DeMarcus Ware has played a big part. What's you guys' take on this?
Uh,
Go ahead.
you go, all right. Well, he hasn't put up big numbers yet. In 2012, he put up 18 and a half sacks with 6 forced fumbles. I mean, and an interception to add it. Now, I know it's 2012, but I mean, 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. That's not a good season or a great season or great numbers. I don't know what is. Now, Tommy, I like you, so I'm not trying to destroy you here. I respect your opinion, but your opinion is completely wrong, and you're an idiot. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I think that he was arguably the best player in the NFL last year. He proved himself last year. I feel like he's definitely worth this money.
I don't know if he was the best player in the NFL, but I think this is something the Broncos needed to do. He needed to get this money. They need him on the defense if they want any chance to repeat next season, and then they need him for the future years to come.
Okay, I take that comment back. I'm sorry, Cal. So you gotta roast me like that in this video, but he did take a giant dip in 2013. I mean, since coming into the league, he's definitely stepped it up though. Um, I think having DeMarcus Ware next to him, though, as I said earlier, definitely plays a big part. It's always nice to have that veteran role model, especially playing the same position or similar.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I don't know. I see a big great signing there for the Broncos. So we'll move on to the next guy, Kirk Cousins himself, the man of you like that. Um, this guy's got it all, man. He signed. He actually could not come to a deal with the Redskins. Signed a 19.95 million. He got franchise tagged. In 16 games, 379 out of 543. Excuse me. He threw for 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns with 11 INTs, and he had a 70.1 QBR, ranked 6th among quarterbacks. Could you guys believe that?
I actually can, because it's true.
I mean, the man
Great
set
analysis.
he set team records in passing yards with 4,166. He set team records in attempts of 543. Not exactly a big stat, but he still set a team record. So it shows they have the faith in him to throw the ball. He set team records in completions of 379, and he set team records in 300-yard passing games with 7. So it definitely says a lot. The fact that he set team records in attempts shows that they can trust him to throw the ball. I know he played a lot better at home than he did on the road, but he was a top 10 quarterback last year.
I feel like it was smart for him to accept a franchise tag, because I don't feel like the Redskins would have offered him around 20 mil a year. Figured he'd play for more money and play for the same team, same everything, except for just more money. So I feel like it was smart for him to take the franchise tag.
I think this was really smart by the Redskins because in 2013 he was 1-7 as a starter. Last season, or if they would have re-signed him for a year, he would have been rewarded for low expectations because people didn't expect him to really be the guy. And I think he could possibly turn into a Nick Foles, maybe just like a one good season. So I think they need to see how he plays next season and then think about a long-term deal.
Yeah,
agree.
the Redskins GM had said recently that they didn't want to give up 3 or 4 contracts for potential players to help out on the field for Kirk Cousins. And then, I mean, you look at his season last year. Yeah, they went on a tear, winning, I believe it was 6 in a row to end the season. But they also played teams that were underwhelming, and before that, they went 3-6 total. So I think he still needs to prove himself. I think I agree with you guys. Great job by the Redskins franchise by just tagging him and just kind of make him prove it. Make him scream you like that in the GM's face and in the owner's face for all next season, and then I'll be convinced.
Yeah, for fantasy, I still don't know if I can trust him as my guy. I definitely have to see if he can do it for another year. Depends on where he's going in the draft, I guess. If I can get him like way late or something like that. I mean, he did put up top 10 numbers last year. Um, Whether you want to believe it or not, he was number 8 with coming in with 283 points on the year per ESPN. Um, Definitely. I mean, would you use him as, say you have Tom Brady? We could bring this up later as well as but do you use Kirk Cousins in the first 4 weeks for Brady if you take Brady?
Yes. Well, it really, honestly, for me, it depends on the matchups for Cousins, actually. If Cousins really plays good to his matchups, he stays true to his matchups usually. If he has a good matchup, he'll play good most of the time. If he has a bad matchup, he'll probably throw for 200 yards, touchdown, and an interception or two.
I say no. Looking at his stats right now, or the schedule for the Redskins right now, week 1 is against the Steelers, 2 against the Cowboys, 3 against the Giants, and the 4th against the Browns. I see them at best going 2-2. Um, I don't like those matchups enough to pick Cousins if I have Brady.
Yeah, and I don't want Cousins to be my guy, even if it's just for the first 4 weeks. I'd rather try to get someone else.
Yeah, I mean, the first 4 weeks of the season are so critical for your fantasy team. I don't want to have a quarterback that I'm shaky about going into each week for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a fair point. You always want to get off to that good start. Never good to dig a hole and then have to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, we got Mr. Eric Berry himself, comeback player of the year, strong safety for the Kansas City Chiefs. Dude's a monster, coming back from lymphoma like that. He got franchise tagged as well, worth 10.8 million. He played 15 games with 2 INTs, 55 tackles. Um, Definitely one of the better strong safeties in the league. He had a down year. It's all right. I mean, the dude came off of lymphoma, so I mean, what do you expect? He definitely put in a lot of work though to come back and do that. To come back and even play football. But both sides were way off of the contract extension, so he just got the franchise tag. Have to prove it one more year, see if he's actually worth the contract. Um, do you guys think Barry will be a free agent next year, though?
I don't think so. I think the Chiefs are going to realize he's going to have a great year. He's going to be a guy they're going to realize they need to sign long term if they want to go somewhere. And it would just hurt them if they got rid of him. Their defense wouldn't be anywhere close to the same.
Well, after coming back from cancer like that, he's really become the soul of the defense. He was the comeback player of the year. I expect the Chiefs to try to get a deal done, but I would not be that shocked if he's a free agent next year and goes somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to try to really lock him down. As you guys said, he's so important to the defense, and he's inspired the whole city as a whole, which is amazing. And not many players can actually do that with their own story and also be a beast on the field when they're fully healthy. So I think they get this deal done. If they don't, look out for the Raiders because I think they'll sign him.
I could almost see him going to the Colts. They need help on defense as well. Um, Raiders definitely could use a safety. But Eric Berry, I don't know. He's a big player to that or big part of that defense in Kansas City. Definitely holds it down. So it'll be interesting to see after this year. And we'll move on to the next guy, Mr. Alshon Jeffrey Reed here. You can take this from here. You're a Chicago Bears fan. What do you guys think about? What do you think about Alshon Jeffrey?
All right. Well, Alshon Jeffrey was just signed to a franchise tag around $15 million a year. He played in 9 games last year and had 54 catches, 807 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, for only playing 9 games, I feel like those stats are pretty good, but I don't feel like that he deserved like a big contract. I feel like he needs one more year to prove himself, like a couple of the other guys do, like Cousins. And I feel like if he has a breakout year, him and Kevin White will be like a duo that can't be stopped for a couple years, many years.
Well, my opinion on Alshon Jeffrey is his stats have only gone down since 2013, and he's struggled with injuries. So, I mean, I agree with the Bears not giving him that top wide receiver contract until he proves himself. Until he proves himself. But yeah, if he can stay healthy and then go back to those numbers he's had before, then I think then they could give him that long-term deal.
Yeah, I think after his 2013 season, a lot of people saw him as that true number one. And in 2014, although he did have a solid year, there's no doubt about that. He had a very solid year. Um, I think he was a just high end wide receiver two, low end wide receiver one, and played that way. Last year, obviously, he was injured. Um, and again had a respectable year based on the games that he played. He definitely needs to prove himself though this year in order to get paid top receiver money. Although I don't ever think he's going to be a Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, OBJ kind of player.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
could totally agree. I mean,
I,
considering
I
he
could
only
too.
considering he only played 9 games and he had 807 yards to compared to 2014 when he had 1,133. I mean, he's only 300 yards off, and he didn't play half the year.
Played
Mhm.
7 less games.
Says a lot there. I mean, Cutler,
Yeah,
he finds a guy and he usually sticks to him. Typically, that's how he
yeah,
plays.
that's what he did with Marshall, and he's found Jeffrey. The Bears didn't really have any other great receivers or good receivers last year.
Yeah,
White was
yeah.
gone the whole year. Eddie Royal was the number two. Jeffrey was like the guy. I mean, it hurt him a lot when he was gone, but
Yeah, I could see Kevin White definitely making an impact, because then it takes a little bit of, the defense
fantasy impact too.
has to worry
Two
about him,
guys.
and then opens up the defense for Jeffrey to do some stuff out there.
Yeah, because
I,
last year you basically knew if you're inside the 5 yard line, you're throwing a fade up to Jeffrey or you're running the ball.
I definitely don't think he can be that number one receiver in fantasy either quite yet. I
Yeah,
think
give
he's
him another year or two,
maybe a
maybe.
wide receiver two or a flex guy.
See,
Yeah,
I think he can be if White comes out and does his thing, and really does a great job supporting Jeffrey. I don't see him uh, not taking advantage of it. I really don't. I think he'll do a great job as long as Cutler gets him the ball properly. So I could see him at his ceiling. I could see him as a mid wide receiver one, but my realistic expectations are a high wide receiver two for this year.
yeah. He's definitely got a ceiling. He did show flashes of being a number one when he
Mhm.
did play. I mean, playing in 9 games, yeah. When he was healthy, he averaged 12 fantasy points a game, which doesn't
That's a
sound.
solid.
I
That's
mean,
solid.
it's not
Yep.
terrible. I mean, whether it's wide receiver one or not, I mean, the fact that he got 12 points, he averaged, isn't terrible. I had him last year. I mean, when I played him, I felt confident playing him. I mean, I could definitely see myself drafting him this year. And I mean, if he gets hurt a little bit, I mean, I don't know if I'll take him
You
quite
just
as
gotta.
early, but
Yeah, you might as well just take like a couple extra sleepers or even maybe like a Kevin White or an Eddie Royal to back him up. If he goes down, you know Cutler's gonna throw to them. You might as well take them or pick them up or something. You have them too.
yeah, I'll definitely have some sleepers on my mind going into the draft. And
Yeah, same.
we'll move on to the next guy, Mr. Trumaine Johnson of the LA Rams. Cornerback for the Rams, he got the franchise tag for about 14 million. He played in 14 games with 7 INTs, a defensive touchdown, and 58 total tackles. Um, dude's an all-around stud. After losing Janoris Jenkins, doesn't exactly help them if they don't hold this guy. So giving him the franchise tag definitely helps the defense. Rams are typically known as having a better defense than offense, but I think this year it could be otherwise, maybe. Huh? Depending on Jared Goff, my boy. Go Rams, right, Jackson?
Yep.
But Trumaine Johnson definitely helps with the loss of Janoris Jenkins. What do you think about Jackson? Another Rams fan.
Well, I mean, he's obviously a guy they've got to re-sign with the loss of Janoris Jenkins because that secondary won't be looking too good without him. And over the last 4 years, he's got 15 interceptions, which is tied for fourth in the NFL. So he's a very underrated defensive back in the NFL. So they need to get him back.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
in
like
my opinion. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
thank you. I feel like there's a couple of really good cornerbacks in smaller market team areas that people don't give enough props to, and I think because Johnson was in St. Louis last year, not a lot of people paid attention to him. He's in LA now, so it's a much bigger market, and he'll get his due, I think, this season as long as he plays well. But another great cornerback no one likes to talk about but needs to is my boy Desmond Trufant from those Atlanta Falcon Dirty Birds, baby, because he is filthy good. So I know he's not on the list. I know he's still signed to a contract, but I'm just saying let's all look out for him too. Show him some love, please. Show my
I
team
feel
some
like
love.
Trumaine Johnson is probably the most underrated cornerback in the NFL. A lot of people, when they think of cornerback, they think of like Richard Sherman or like a, I don't know, like a Joe Hayden or something like that, or Patrick Peterson. But Trumaine Johnson really has been probably one of the best cornerbacks over the last 4 or 5 years.
And also those over the last 4 years with those 15 interceptions, those have also been his first 4 years. So I mean, he's got a high ceiling, and I think
Absolutely.
he can definitely be one of those bigger cornerbacks in the NFL if he's not already.
Yeah, and last year was really his breakout year with 7 of those 15 interceptions, which 7 interceptions I think is definitely worth that 14 mil.
Yeah, there was only 2 other people with more interceptions than Trumaine Johnson. He came in tied for third with 7. Big names like Tyrann Mathieu. I know he lost. He was out for most of the season, but uh, Trumaine Johnson had more interceptions than guys like Darrell Revis, Brent Grimes, and even Josh
Yeah,
Norman.
those big cornerbacks.
So I mean, all those big names out there getting the big bucks. Getting him for 14 mil, I think is quite a steal.
Yep.
Definitely holds down the secondary for the Rams. So we will move on to this recent signing of Arian Foster to the Miami Dolphins. Pretty interesting here after hearing that he signed for 1 year, $1.5 million. He got $2 million in incentives. In 2015, Arian Foster played 4 games. Was lost to an injury, as you guys know. 63 attempts for 163 yards. He averaged 2.6 with 1 TD. He did struggle to find the end zone last year, but I mean he played 4 games, so but only 1 touchdown in 4 games is a little depressing for the type of back he is. I like Jay Ajayi in Miami, but with the signing of Foster, I'm curious to see what the depth chart looks like with him, how the carries will be split. What do you guys think happens there?
I don't feel like Foster last year just struggled to find the end zone. I feel like he struggled all around, and coming off a ruptured Achilles tendon, I think that Jay Ajayi will get the majority of the carries, but I feel like the Dolphins are the kind of team to go with the hot hand, so like they're gonna run them both. And if Ajayi's doing great one game, they're gonna run with him. If Ajayi's doing bad and Foster's doing good, they're gonna run with him. They're just gonna run with the hot hand. I feel like.
Yeah, and Foster is approaching 30 years old. Obviously, he struggled with injuries. His career numbers have declined, and he hasn't had a 100-yard rushing game since Week 14 of 2014. So I just don't
Time
know
ago.
how he's going to return next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dolphins are not realizing how big of a loss Lamar Miller really will be until they see this duo. I don't have a lot of faith in Foster at this point. I don't think when you're coming back from an Achilles rupture like he is, that you can just have the elusiveness and speed bursts that you used to have. I think it takes a full season, kind of like a torn Achilles, or not a torn Achilles, a torn ACL or MCL. So, I mean, this is your typical show me what you got. Do you still have something in the tank contract? And then we'll sign you to a longer one if you do. I don't mind the signing. I mean, take a chance, take a shot. It's 1.5 million. If he does a lot for you, it's at most only going to cost you 3.5 million. That's a great signing for me.
Steal if it's a steal if he does do good for you, because then you get him for cheap and he can do good for you, and
Yep.
who knows, he might not even want more money. He
Yeah,
might
it's
not
that-
want a lot of money now.
Yeah, it's that low risk, high reward kind of deal. There's at least 1 or 2
Yeah.
in the league every year. I like it. Big fan.
It was almost like a trade, Foster for Miller. I mean, Miller's on the Texans now. I mean,
Yep.
I think the Texans are kind of liking the switch.
For
I'm
sure.
starting to think the Texans might be pretty legit this year. They were good last year, but they didn't have a quarterback.
That's for another video. We'll
And
get
I
to
mean,
that.
their
That's for
running
sure.
backs, their running backs were.
Let's not get started on Osweiler's impact yet.
Well, but Arian Foster. I mean, most running backs usually start to decline by age 30. Besides, I mean, Frank Gore, he's just a tank. Frank the Tank never stops. He actually put up decent numbers last year. But Foster, I'd be curious to see with his injury-plagued seasons and see if he can come back strong.
See if he can finish the whole season, maybe find the end zone 5 to 6 times. That's probably what he's gonna end up. He's not gonna be a guy who's gonna find the end zone every game or something.
What do you guys see him for fantasy? You guys taking him as probably like a flex, or I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to wait for carries and stuff.
Yeah, like I'd probably take him because you'll be able to tell like how many carries he gets by the bye week. So I feel like, oh, you have Doug Martin on a bye week, then maybe take him if he has a good matchup or something.
Because I was
'Cause
kind
he
of
might be
high. I was kind of high on Jay Ajayi. Because I almost picked him up last year when he was starting to get a little bit of carries, but I realized he wasn't getting enough carries. But now that Lamar Miller was gone, I was kind of hyped. I was like, damn, Jay Ajayi's out there. I mean, now that signing Arian Foster kind of depletes my little balloon of happiness.
Yeah, I think you gotta wait and see how the first couple weeks play out with how they give them carries, just like you were saying. Carries is obviously going to be a key. Do they use Foster more on third down? I mean, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
Honestly, it
he's
would
not
make
like
more
a speed
sense to
guy.
me. Yeah, well, Ajay just has, in my opinion, more third down goal line kind of a look.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
so I feel like they might use Foster more first and second down screen plays, maybe a bubble outside to the running back, and then use Ajay more third and threes, third and fours. Um, that's how I see the value in him this year. But I mean, you don't know until the season starts. So
I feel like Foster. I feel like Foster is a guy who at the beginning of the year won't be on anybody's team like the majority of leagues. He'll be a dude who can pick up on the waiver wire for the majority of leagues till he proves that he's getting carries and stuff.
Yeah,
what will
you can go.
I was just gonna say, will Ajay be this year's Devonta Freeman?
That's yeah, because I mean maybe they start Foster goes down or something, and then Ajay just comes out of nowhere like Freeman did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Your
I
boy
actually
did.
had Jai as like a almost like a sleeper basically. I mean, he
Yeah.
wasn't getting taken. He saw he was getting taken a little early in drafts, but
He was taken maybe 6th, 7th round, maybe a little later.
in 9 games played, he had 49 attempts with 187 yards. He was averaging 3.8 yards a carry, which isn't
That's
terrible.
pretty solid. How
Um,
many touchdowns?
he had 1 touchdown on the year, but
I mean, Lamar Miller's kind of built for the goal line though, so
I
kind of.
mean, I doubt this happens, but I mean, the Dolphins could almost even convert Foster, kind of like ASU did to DJ Foster, into like a slot receiver. Because I mean, Jarvis Landry, he can run it deep. I mean, that could be even interesting too, but I doubt that happens. But we'll move on to the next guy. We got Tom Brady. He ended the Deflategate battle. He came out on Facebook saying, I'm very grateful for the overwhelming support I've received from Mr. Kraft, the Kraft family, Coach Belichick, my coaches and teammates, the NFLPA, my agents, my loving family, and most of all, our fans. It has been a challenging 18 months that should have never happened. Just kidding, that's what I said. And I have made the difficult decision to no longer proceed with the legal process. I'm going to work hard to be the best player I can be for the New England Patriots, and I look forward to having the opportunity to return to the field this fall. So Tom Deflatey ends the Deflategate for the Deflatriots. Sorry I use all those memes, but I honestly don't think this should have happened. I mean, I respect Brady, but I feel like he should have just. I mean, he did fight for it, but I honestly think he should have just taken a suspension, gotten it over with, been done with it, and not made it some big old thing.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
I agree. I don't even think this whole thing should have started. I feel like he should have just accepted the suspension, and nothing should have happened. I feel like the suspension is gonna hurt the Patriots because they have, I wouldn't say a tough first 4 games, but I don't know if I'd say an easy. They got the Cardinals week 1. There's no way they're gonna win that game. Miami could go either way. Houston could probably go either way in Buffalo. They're probably going to lose that game. So, I mean, this definitely going to hurt them. I don't even think Garoppolo is going to do that good either. I mean, he might have 1 or 2 good games, but I don't feel like he's going to prove himself a lot.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think this was an ego thing for Tom Brady not accepting the punishment earlier. I think he just wanted it. I don't think he wanted to accept it just for the sake of it, you know.
Are you guys afraid it affected his leg? Are you think he might have thought it might have affected his legacy? Kai, you can go ahead.
No.
No, I
All
don't think
right.
so.
I can't believe I'm actually the only person that thinks that this was just a crusade by Goodell to just rip on the Patriots in the only way he knew how after the Spygate scandal in 2005. They gave him a slap on the wrist. The whole Patriots organization, the whole league got really mad. This little thing pops up, which was just absolute BS. It didn't affect the game at all. It feels like people are saying like if this didn't happen, the Colts would have won this game. They would not have. It was a blowout from start to finish. Brady, I'm happy that he let it go at this point. He didn't take it to the Supreme Court because we have a lot more important things to talk about in the Supreme Court than an NFL thing. Not to get into any politics, but just I'm happy he took it now. I see the Pats going 3-1. I mean, these are the Patriots. It's a Bill Belichick run team. I don't even like the Patriots for all those people being like, oh, he's just a Patriots fan. I hate the Patriots. I hate Tom Brady, but I respect the heck out of him. And I respect the heck out of Bill Belichick. I don't see this team going worse than 3-1. I think they'll lose that first game in Arizona just because it's a tough environment against a very tough defense, and Garoppolo might get a little bit shaken up. But I see them winning the next three. They'll be 3-1 when Tom comes back.
Yeah, I
Very
could agree
bold.
on that. I can agree on that. I mean, you gotta respect the guy, what he's done. But then
Yeah.
again, maybe not. You don't have to. I mean, some people, maybe
Some
say,
people just straight up hate
screw you, Tom Brady, that kind of thing. But
Just retire.
what I think the suspension means for the Pats is they get to see what the future's like for the team.
That's
I mean,
true.
nobody's really seen Garoppolo play. I mean, he's getting 4 games to show off what he's got. I mean, he's the future. He's the future for this franchise, and if he doesn't prove otherwise, I mean, if he does suck, and then they gotta look at maybe free agents next couple of years, or if Garoppolo can't hold it down, I mean,
Draft somebody. Something.
they might have to draft someone new. Yeah. But I think that's
Take
what
a chance on somebody.
I think that's the big picture here for the suspension for Brady and the Pats. But I agree on what you said, Cal, of them going 3-1. I think it's a tough first game against that defense in Arizona, and I think he's gonna realize. I mean, getting thrown into that first game is kind of tough, but I think he's gonna get knocked up, realize what's happening, and then he's gonna come back strong and prove that he can be the quarterback that he's meant to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like this abysmal start either. Like I don't think they're going to get blown out by any sense of the means. I could see them losing by 7 or less. That's how I kind of see it. I see it'll be a very tough game. Both teams will obviously be fired up. I just think that being away that first week, um, that's what will eventually do to the environment, the atmosphere, that edge for the Cardinals. I don't think Garoppolo's going to have a terrible game. It'll just be a very difficult one for him to kind of get into.
What I think it's going to come down to for Garoppolo is if his running game and the defense are going to step up for him. I mean, obviously he'll have Gronk, so that will help him out a little bit too when he's passing the ball. But the defenses are going to try and put pressure on him. I mean, it's obviously not a super crazy first 4 games, but it's not easy either at Arizona, and then you got at home versus the Dolphins, Texans, and Bills. So I just want to see if the running game's going to help him out.
Yeah, they're not known for having that top back, but I had Deion Lewis last year. If he can help him out, I mean, he came out of the backfield a lot for Brady. I saw like a stat he threw for like 25% of his passes that he threw last year to the running backs this year. I mean, that's a big number. Deion Lewis comes back strong. If they can establish a run, that definitely takes off a load on Garoppolo.
Yeah, then he just won't have to do as much, but still have to do his part.
And in terms of fantasy, you can probably expect Brady to drop a little bit for quarterbacks like he did last year, since
Yeah,
people
kinda
will
like-
will think he's going to be suspended for the first 4 years, which he will. First 4 games, which he will be now. So for the last, well, after the first 4 games, you'll have him, and he could be a guy you could get later for a quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah, I feel like Brady might have, when he comes back, I feel like there might be a little bit of rust on it. But then again, when he comes back, they do play the Browns, so I feel like it's not going to really matter.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Sorry
to
to all
get
you
the
Browns
rust
fans,
off.
though.
I don't
Yeah,
see
you-
Brady coming back with any kind of rust. I see him coming back with that typical, oh, I'm going to show you why you should not have suspended me, NFL, because I'm going to come back with a vengeance. He's the most competitive player, I think, in the league and potentially in all of sports at this current moment. I don't think there's anyone that gets hungrier and angrier and plays better at that kind of with that kind of anger that Brady does.
Yeah, I can
I
agree with
definitely
that,
think
Cal. I don't think he comes back with any rust. I mean, it's Brady. He's
You
one
never
of the
know.
all-time
Yeah.
greats. He puts in the work. There's a difference between Brady and Rodgers. Yes, both great quarterbacks. Rodgers, when he plays, he looks happy. When Brady plays, he comes out there to fucking win. Excuse my language, but he comes out there and he's mad, he's angry, he's coming out like you said, with a vengeance. He's coming out to win. He doesn't want to lose. He's coming out and giving it his all. You know he's putting in the work off the field, whether he's deflating the balls or not off the field, but we don't know that. Just kidding, it's a joke. But I think he comes back and he's probably a top 5 quarterback. That's my
Yeah.
fantasy.
I mean,
In
he did a
fantasy.
complete Antonio. No, I'm sorry,
Gates.
not Antonio Gates. He did a complete.
Le'Veon Bell.
No, Tony Gonzalez. In terms
Oh.
of a couple years back, he changed up his entire diet. He doesn't eat anything like that normal people would ever eat. He's gotten into these crazy, healthy kind of workouts, good workouts for his joints and his body. He's taking care of himself more than most players do in the league in one of the most ruthless positions outside of, in my opinion, the offensive and defensive lines because you get hit so much. And he's still playing like he's 28. It's crazy. It really is. It's crazy. And he wants to play till he's 50. I don't think he's going to play till 50, but I can see him playing till 45. Easy.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of a Tim Duncan in terms of football, because Tim Duncan, just retired recently, but played for so many years and just he had it for his whole career, and that it just reminds me a lot of Brady because he's getting up there in age, but he's still playing like he's his young self.
Absolutely.
Yep, I'm gonna have to agree on that one. And I think that's gonna close it up for this first video. That was Tooch Talk. Coming out with new videos, rankings, all that stuff. Later on, we're trying to get the videos out as quick as possible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Twitter, Tooch Talk. Go follow us. Send us out a tweet. We'll like them or something like that. Get the word out of Tooch Talk. Helping you out with all your fantasy sports. Coming out with the stuff. And see you guys later.
Peace.
Later, guys.